Farms in Great Britain don't have it easy. High requirements, low prices and a labour shortage. And Brexit is doing the rest. Now they are demanding money from the state. Schemes to replace EU subsidies will not plug gaps left by loss of EU subsidies for most farmers still. And once again, Brexit, Britain's exit from the EU, turns out to be a questionable decision, to say the least. Many farmers in Great Britain would probably agree to this. Because with the loss of agricultural subsidies from Europe, more difficult trade and the lack of workers, they lack money to survive. An initiative by farmers is now calling for kind of a basic income as compensation. Farmers are calling for the government to grant them a universal basic income, saying the post-Brexit agriculture subsidy scheme has left many poorer. Delays to the sustainable farming scheme put in place after the UK left the European Union to replace the Common Agricultural Policy or CAP have meant that in England many farmers have been left out of pocket. The new regime initially suffered from low subscription rates, and the government has underspent hundreds of millions from the £2.4 billion farming budget each year due to lack of sign-up. Scotland and Wales have different farming schemes, and Northern Ireland has not yet set up its new scheme due to Stormont not having set for 2 years now, thanks DUP. In Wales, there have been protests over plans to ask farmers to set aside 20% of their farms for nature and tree planting. Government projections and independent analysis have shown that the new nature payment schemes will not plug the gap left by the lack of EU subsidies for most farmers. The nature schemes were never meant to replace the CAP payments exactly, and instead are aimed at paying farmers to provide public goods. Now, at least 100 farmers have signed up to a new campaign group, the BI for Farmers, to ask for universal basic income, so the UBI, for all farmers in Britain. The campaigner said that farmers across the UK were basically kept afloat by EU subsidies and now risk going out of business. Analysis by the organic farming group Riverford has found that half of farmers surveyed said they may go out of business due to post-Brexit trade deals, uncertainty over farming payment schemes and rising costs. And Joe Poulton, the BI for Farmers coordinator, said, British farmers are overworked and underpaid, but the Brexit process presents an ideal opportunity to change this. A basic income for farmers would guarantee an adequate income, improving access to time off and reasonable working hours, and making entering a career in farming affordable for new entrants. Sustainable farming groups have also shared their support for UBI for farmers to enable them to experiment with nature-friendly farming methods, such as using fewer pesticides without sacrificing their income. And Will White, Sustainable Farming Campaign Coordinator at Sustain, said, Universal basic income could be an important safety net for farm workers and small new entrant growers, providing financial security that liberates them to pursue agroecological practices without the looming pressure of financial survival. When paired with better funding for environmental land management schemes, UBI has the potential to significantly bolster the agricultural sector's overall resilience. Looking into radical yet promising solutions like this is essential. We support a deeper exploration of how basic income policies could work in the UK context and are watching this campaign with interest, he said. And Ruth West, a co-founder of the Oxford Real Farming Conference, added, Concerned citizens, farmers in dire straits, policymakers and all those who care about a fairer food system should get on board and help move this practical, doable plan to the next phase. BI for Farmers presents us with a golden opportunity for a sustainable farming future. It's an opportunity we must not miss, she said. Brexit has caused a multitude of challenges for British farmers, impacting their finances, their ability to trade and access to labour. Previously, the EU's Common Agricultural Policy, or CAP, provided substantial financial support to British farms. The UK government is developing a new subsidy system, but delays and a shift towards environmental incentives have left many farms in limbo. And this, coupled with the loss of CAP payments, has created a significant cash flow squeeze, threatening the viability of some farms, particularly smaller ones that may not have the resources to adapt quickly. Exporting British agricultural products to the EU has indeed become more cumbersome due to new customs checks, health certificates and border controls from day one of Brexit. And this adds time and expense to the process, making it harder for British farmers to compete in their biggest export market. The additional paperwork and delays also lead to spoilage of perishable goods, further reducing profits. Many British farms relied heavily on seasonal workers from the EU as well, who often filled roles that were unattractive to domestic workers due to lower wages and demanding schedules. Since Brexit, restrictions on EU immigration have made it harder for those workers to come to the UK. And this has led to labour shortages, particularly during peak harvest seasons, causing some farms to limit production or even cull livestock due to a lack of manpower. And these interconnected issues have created a significant period of uncertainty for British agriculture. The combination of financial strain, trade disruption and labour shortage is forcing many farmers to adapt their operations or face the possibility of going out of business. And there's also a warning that fees for the new border checks of plants and animal products could leave supermarket shelves empty and lead small business closures in the UK. Newly announced details of this post-Brexit border check system has drawn criticism from businesses and trade bodies in the UK, with a warning that it could inflate food prices and lead the closure of several small businesses. From April 30th this year, so only days away, firms importing plants or animal products from the EU via the Port of Dover or the Eurotunnel will have to pay up to £145 per consignment to cover the costs of a new border check. The post-Brexit measures are designed to preserve effective biosecurity and public health systems, according to the UK government, which announced the details of the charges of the new border target operating model last week, Wednesday. The government said the introduction of robust controls on EU imports will result in new costs for importers in order to fund the operation of the border control post facilities, which are vital to ensure that physical inspections on sanitary and phytosanitary imports can be undertaken safely and securely. The charges have a cap of £145 per consignment, but depending on the category, low-risk products come with a reduced rate of £10, but a consignment of medium or high-risk product costs £29. About a quarter of the UK's food imports pass through Dover and the Channel Tunnel. And trade groups warn that the measures will drive up costs, fuel higher food prices, and result in empty supermarket shelves again. The government insisted that the fees are designed to recover the costs of operating the border checks and rejected suggestions that they would lead to major increases in food costs. Our modeling suggests the impact of introduction of the new model on the costs of food and drink will not be significant, representing less than a 0.2% increase in total over 3 years. That's what the government said last August, adding that a major outbreak of a disease on the economy could have more impact. That's nice. But there are fears that the economy could suffer if businesses cannot absorb the costs. Reacting to the announcement of the charges, Marco Forgione, the Director General of the Institute of Export and International Trade, said that while larger businesses may be able to absorb the costs, for SMEs, small and medium-sized entities, up to an additional 145 per consignment might mean profit wiped out completely. And he also warned that the increased costs and measures could change the way businesses import their goods, perhaps reducing the frequency of orders, increasing the price for the consumer, and ultimately limiting the variety of products available in UK shops and restaurants. And Mr. Forgione stressed that there was a real risk that the new charges could ultimately make the UK a less attractive nation to trade with for smaller businesses in the EU. And I absolutely have to agree here with Mr. Forgione. And if you want to know more, the next video is right in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.